Welcome and congratulations. You have made it at least until the 10th of March if you are finding this video, because that is when I'm recording it. That is an accomplishment. This is a powerful month. There is so much going on energetically, biologically, within the very mitochondria of our cells is what I'm wanting to say right now. It's a big, big month. The astrology is insane. Perhaps some of the craziest astrology of this year, full of crazy astrology of 2025. So before we get going and we start talking about Venus retrograde, Mercury retrograde, the eclipses, all of the crazy cacophony of energies, you could call it that. I guess you could also call it a beautiful symphony of energy. It depends on how you're perceiving it, right? We're going to go with a beautiful symphony of energy. I just want you to take a moment to breathe, to congratulate yourself on being here on this planet at this time, watching this video. If you're finding this video, this means that you are vibrating at a frequency that allows for whatever activations and downloads might find you, what you might be open to receive, which allows for the comprehension of the energies that we're going to be talking about today. And I'm not saying that in a way that is meant to be egocentric, like, oh, we're talking about such lofty things on this channel and in this video. I simply mean you're on the same wavelength of energy. Some people aren't ready to go as deep as you are. And I know that you're ready and willing to go deep because you are here. That's all I mean, and that's going to make sense for who it's meant to make sense for. So take a moment, take a breath. Some of you may be finding this near the end of March or even into April or May, or even years from now. And if you're finding this years from now, that means that these energies and what we're going to be discussing today, there's a process underway here. And that's beautiful too. If you are processing perhaps things from this time period, or you're wanting to tap back into these energies, your higher self is guiding you to this video because you want to reconnect with the energies. Because remember, time is fluid, right? We work with time in a whole new way as we begin to awaken. And we can tap back into any time period we wish with this powerful vehicle of our third eye and our heart, our consciousness. Our consciousness, when I use the word consciousness, what I'm actually referring to is the blend of the third eye and the heart, the mind and the heart. When they come together synergistically, this is consciousness. And I've actually never said that before. That's just coming through right now. That's really profound. That's what consciousness is. That's the cosmic consciousness, which is what this channel used to be called, Cosmic Consciousness with Kassia. That's the cosmic consciousness, is when the heart and the mind are linked. We typically operate from one consciousness or the other. Most people from the mind consciousness, the mental consciousness. Some people from the heart consciousness. Although typically it's more of a sacral consciousness, a root consciousness. We're not going to delve too deeply into all of that right now. That's a whole different video in and of itself. What we're going to say is the unifying, the blending of those, the balancing of the head and the heart. This is what opens the doorways to true consciousness, divine consciousness. And that's what this month is all about, one of many things. We have Venus and Mercury in retrograde. Venus representing the heart, the feminine energy, love, desire, what we attract, how we become that point of attraction, what we value, our connections. Mercury representing our mind, our communication. So this is really, really powerful. This mind-heart coherence that we are building during this retrograde season. We're purging, we're clearing, we're activating a lot with the eclipses. We're really working powerfully with this dynamic interplay of Piscean and Aries energy that's going to be carrying us through all of 2025. That Aries energy, the first sign in the zodiac, that initiating force. And of course, March is Aries season on that spring equinox, around the 21st. So we have that energy as well playing into this. How powerful that Neptune, who's been in Pisces, the sign it rules since 2011, is moving into Aries during Aries season, right after, essentially during an Aries solar eclipse, because the solar eclipse in Aries is occurring on the 29th at 9 degrees of Aries. That's a hot point in the zodiac this month. Both Mercury and Venus station retrograde at 9 or 10 degrees of Aries, 9 for Mercury, 10 for Venus. All right, so they'll be activating this point multiple times, this eclipse point. Very powerful point wherever this is in your chart. Just as an aside there, if you don't know, reach out to me. We can do a chart reading. You can also find your birth chart online. There's lots of free resources. I prefer cafe astrology. A lot of people like astro.com. Depends on, just play around. Moving back in. Aries, Pisces. All right, so that initiating force of Aries and that spiritual energy of that completion with Pisces. Pisces is the completion. We're in a 9-year, the year of the snake. All right, 9 is about endings and beginnings. Pisces is the ending. Aries is the beginning. And we're moving back and forth between these energies. We have Neptune shifting into Aries and then retrograding back into Pisces. We have Saturn doing the same thing in May, entering Aries, and then later on this year, retrograding back into Pisces. We have just a whole plethora of planets moving between these degrees. We have the North Node, which was in Aries and shifted at the beginning of this year on the 11th of January, 111, back into the sign of Pisces, and is essentially conjunct the North Node or Neptune right now. We called this the changing of the guard in some of the videos that we did. As they meet and they sort of swap energies, the North Node moving from Aries to Pisces, Neptune moving from Pisces into Aries. We got Saturn in Pisces right now. There's a whole lot of Piscean energy in this first half of 2025. Then it's going to shift more into Aries. Then it's going to move back into Pisces and then surge forward into Aries again. So it's like we're stepping forward. We're taking that breath. I'm seeing this image of us filling our chest, our lungs with that air. That's the Aries energy. And then the Pisces energy is the exhale. And it's these long, there would be long drawn out inhales and exhales, right? Because there's many months as we're moving through these energies. But it's this process of bringing in, this is the way Spirit's reminding me is when I guide people through meditation and through energy activations and things sometimes. And we do that breathing in the light and breathing out what no longer serves. And sometimes we do bringing in the light, expanding, and just more expansion on the out breath, right? Expansion on the in breath, even more on the out breath, expanding that out into the world, into the multiverse, the cosmos. So there's so much light that we're taking in, that we're bringing in. And we're not even going to get into on this particular video the solar storms, the CMEs, everything that's going on with the solar flares with the sun right now, but that's happening too. It's all happening. Okay. It is all happening. It's so powerful. You are so powerful. And this year, these next 2 years are all about reminding you of that and helping you really get in touch with that. Right? Because people have been telling you how powerful you are for how long now? If you're not brand new to this awakening journey, if you are, then you may have just started hearing it. If you've been in this journey for a while, you've heard people tell you, you've heard me, if you've been following this channel, tell you over and over again. But this is the year. These next 2 years are the years where we really start feeling that. These are the major preparatory years for the DNA activations beginning in 2027 that really truly will begin bringing forth the new human on a biological cellular level. We've been preparing for it for a long time, but these 2 years, 2025 and 2026, it's big stuff here. This is a month of release, of letting go. That Virgo lunar eclipse on the 14th, the day before Mercury officially stations retrograde, loosely conjunct Venus. And Mercury and Venus are going to be loosely conjunct for a good chunk of really the entire second half of March and moving into April. There's a huge release. There's an opportunity to let go at a level that we have never experienced before. In Virgo, in this eclipse that is conjunct the South Node, so very much about the releasing, we're letting go of perfectionism. We're letting go of whatever within our minds, because remember, this is happening with Mercury retrograde. Venus goes retrograde first on the 1st of March, and then Mercury right at eclipse time, the lunar eclipse, Mercury, or Venus rather, is programming Mercury. The heart is programming the mind. And this is allowing a deeper release from the mind as we let go of the hyper analytical energy. I feel this as a collective releasing of this energy, where we have been dominated by the head to the point that it has drowned out the heart, to the point where it has cut people off from the magic. It has increased the way the mind has been programmed in this society, in this third dimension, has increased this energy, this illusion of separation, which is the greatest of all the wounds of humanity. The illusion that we are separate from source, that we are separate from one another, that we are separate from our own higher self. Right? And this Pisces energy, this completion of these Pisces energies really wants us to remember that. Pisces energy takes us through a journey of victimhood. It takes us through a journey of escapism and powerlessness so that we can remember our power once more. It is sort of the whole idea of the human incarnation, right? Remembering, forgetting so that we can remember. We see both within the sign of Pisces. There's the duality, right? The forgetting and the remembering. That's powerful. The ascension, as we call it, another way, another word for it, another way to understand it or perceive it. A good friend of mine that I started my first YouTube channel with, she and I used to call it the Great Remembering. Because that's what's happening. We're remembering ourselves. As some say, we're walking each other home. This month is a really powerful opportunity to begin to feel more at home within this human experience, to feel more at home within your mind, within your heart. So release the confines of the mind, allow it to stretch, allow it to wander. This is Pisces energy, is aces at this. So really work with that Pisces energy, that flow. Allow things to be nebulous, allow them not to make sense. We're being asked to surrender. We're being asked to allow these Neptunian Piscean energies to dissolve the aspects of the ego that are keeping us enslaved, that are keeping us small. With this Aries energy as well, to face some fears. To face these fears, but to incorporate that Pisces energy, where we're not just barreling through with that traditional Aries bravado, right? We are facing our fears in an energy of surrender, of trust, of faith. That even though we don't know where we're going, our soul does. and this knowing that we are more connected to our soul than we may have thought at previous points along our journey. There's going to be times throughout 2025 where we feel even more disconnected from our souls. Saturn is going to be playing a big part in this energy here, moving through, making aspects, conjuncting and aspecting multiple planets, including Neptune. All right. So as Saturn is sort of initiating us, there's going to be periods where we feel as though we're losing faith, where we feel as though we're more cut off, more alone, more isolated, more disillusioned than we've ever been. But on the other side, on the back end of that, is a deepening of faith. Take this from someone who's had Saturn working with their natal Jupiter for the past year. All right. It's powerful. It's powerful stuff. You can do this. That's what Spirit wants you to know. That's what Saturn wants us to know, right? Saturn pushes us. This year is going to push us. It's going to push us and stretch us in ways that we couldn't have imagined. But that's because it's preparing us for this new epoch of humanity that we have just entered. For, like we said, that major shift in 2027. It's preparing us for the life that we asked for. If you're here, you've made a commitment to level up. You've made a commitment to explore your potential, to see more and be open to more of the infinite possibilities of who and what you can be, what this experience of life and incarnation on this planet can be. Welcome. You are in the right place. I hope that you subscribe and you stick with us and this tribe, because this is what we're all about. This is your sign. This is your confirmation that your request has been logged into the, I always wanted to call it like the system of the universe, the computer system of the universe. Your request has been heard. It has been logged and it is being answered. Pay attention to your outer reality. Pay attention to your inner world, particularly as we move through eclipse season and these retrogrades. Retrograde season is a time of revisiting, revising, reinvention. It's going to show you what's working and what's not working. With Venus and Mercury, like we said, this head-heart combo going on here, both in the same signs, there's a deep intensity here. This is a profound revisitation. This is where we are really going to notice what jives with us and what doesn't. What we desire within our heart of hearts. Anything that we've pushed down, that we've repressed or suppressed, particularly when it comes to what it is that lights us up, that turns us on, so to speak. It's going to, that repression is not going to work anymore. Those truths are coming to the surface. Anywhere where we have settled for something less than what it is that our heart truly yearns for. The word longing is coming up here. And actually, interestingly, that the song Longing in Their Hearts by Bonnie Raitt, that might be a channel for somebody. Messages come through, even though we're not doing tarot readings or anything like that right now. Messages, they come through. So this is a lot about love and relationships with Venus here. But remember, above all else, this is about self-love. This is about the love that we give ourselves, how we value ourselves. Venus shows us how we value ourselves. Right? And she is represented by the two signs that she rules, Taurus and Libra, the second and the seventh house, the house of money and resources with Taurus, of the physical world, and the house of relationships of the other with the Libra energy. Both of these aspects, the quality of our relationships and the quality of our resources and our material world, directly correlate with the level of value that we feel for ourselves. These are the two most powerful reflections of that energy. So we're going to get a reality check where this is concerned. We're going to get an opportunity to fall more deeply in love with ourselves, to put ourselves first with that Aries energy, to find that balance once we move back into Pisces. With putting ourselves first, with celebrating our independence, our sovereignty, but at the same time, learning how to merge with other people, how to blur those boundaries in ways that are appropriate, in ways that feel appropriate. Understanding the importance of filling our cup first. We always say, I fill my cup to excess and I share the excess with the world. Or I fill my cup to overflowing, rather. You see what I mean? The importance there. It's the old adage, if you're on a plane and the plane starts going down, put your own oxygen mask on first. That may be a bad analogy with a lot of the stuff going on recently. Sending love to everybody who is involved in any of the plane crashes or any of that, the craziness going on right now. You understand what I mean, though. This is the energy that we're working with here. We're learning how to love in a way that makes the other person feel free. We have a Venus star point activating on the 22nd of March, right around that equinox and the beginning of Aries season, as Venus comes into conjunction with the sun. This is really, really beautiful energy here. This is energy that is activating a brand new Venus cycle. She creates this gorgeous geometry in the sky as she moves through her orbit around the sun, connecting with the sun at specific points. And certain points that she continues to return to are known as star points. And these points within the pentagram or the rose that's created in the sky define over years how it is that we relate to other people within our relationships, how we love, how we create, our style and fashion sense as well, our money, how we relate to money in our material world. So this Aries star point is a really significant energy here. Bringing Aries values and energy into the conversation. This is boldness. This is assertion. This is, like we said, independence. This is knowing who we are and what we want. So this is a brand new flavor for these Venus cycles. And this retrograde period is giving us quite a bit of time to play with this energy. Venus is going to complete her retrograde on the 12th of April. And then let me look here and see when she moves. She re-enters Aries on the 30th of April. So May 1st, she's going to be moving back. Well, 30th, and then, I don't know why I said May 1st, the month of May. I was looking at, there's a powerful sextile with Uranus and the North Node. Uranus conjunct the star Algol on the 1st of May. So that's a big day in general. Uranus at 26 degrees of Taurus, which is where Algol is located. And the North Node at 26 degrees of Pisces, where we'll save that for a different video. That's a powerhouse of energy there too. Just a few days after Saturn conjuncts the North Node on the 21st. Speaking of Saturn, so like we said, Saturn's going to be activating and initiating. This whole year is one massive activation and initiation. So we're clearing, we're releasing. With that Virgo lunar eclipse, total lunar eclipse. The first total lunar eclipse in many years, I do believe. And then we're calling in that fresh energy with that Aries solar eclipse, partial solar eclipse. And calling in a brand new age of spiritual empowerment with Neptune re-entering Aries for the first time since the 1860s and the American Revolution. So stay tuned. This revolution will be televised. Or it'll at least be streaming on multiple platforms. Spiritual revolution. That's where we are at right now. This energy has been gaining steam for quite some time, but it's really, there's a massive breakthrough. A breakthrough when we're looking at a collective planet like Neptune. The collective planet, you might say, as it represents the collective consciousness. We really see those Aries themes moving into the collective consciousness. And there's this spark that's created there. This is a wave of mass awakening as I'm discussing this right now that I'm feeling as Neptune shifts into Aries. And just like any awakening, there's likely to be a dark night of the soul for many, which is when we question everything, when nothing makes sense. And we go through an ego death. And with Neptune, who represents the dissolver of the ego, this is going to be an ego death for the ages. Quite literally, pun intended, right, with ages. As this is beginning a brand new 164-year cycle, I believe it is, about 160-something year cycle. That's how long it takes Neptune to move through the zodiac. And there is a brand new planetary cycle that gets initiated every time a planet gets to Aries, once again being the first sign in the zodiac. We're also completing the age of Pisces, 26,000-year astrological age, as we move into the age of Aquarius. So this is big, big, big stuff, you all. Feel into that. There's going to be aspect to Pluto as well. Whenever a planet's hitting 0 degrees, because Pluto's sitting in those first few degrees of Aquarius. Another collective planet in the planet of the age that we are beginning. So as the planet, so many on this planet will say, right? Because we're all at different levels of awakening. And this year is going to be a deeper level of awakening for all of us. So wherever you're at right now, just know that another layer is being peeled away. Another veil of illusion is being lifted. Because one of the greatest illusions, once we start moving down the spiritual path, is thinking that there is no illusions left, that we know it all, that we've seen it all, that we are aware of it all. That's when you know the spiritual ego's still got you. Within the confines of this human mind, we will never be able to know it all. There are so many layers and levels to reality. Infinite layers, really. Reality itself is a funny word. And we're not going to go down that whole rabbit hole right now, but we'll just say a deeper level of awareness, of realization. And for those who are just beginning on this path, that's going to be especially intense. So there's going to be a lot of turmoil within the collective as we have Pluto right around that 2 degree of Aquarius point this year, where the Shapley attractor is located, the greatest black hole in space, the point around which all other known points in space orbit. What some consider the source point within our universe, our galaxy. This is a point that reveals truth, that it is the point of ultimate power, where all intentions are revealed, all secrets come to light. And it is a Plutonic point, being at 2 degrees of Scorpio, who is ruled by Pluto. So having Pluto aspecting this highly Plutonic point in space, we're going to continue to see more and more truth being revealed. More and more layers of illusion being stripped away. And some people are clinging to that illusion like a life raft. So we got to hold space for ourselves, hold space for each other. And sometimes it's going to require quite a lot of mental and emotional reserves to do this. As we begin to awaken, we sometimes become impatient with other people who are still what we would call asleep. And Spirit's saying, from one perspective, that is simply us being impatient with the aspects of ourselves that are still taking more time to develop than we wish they would. and being frustrated with ourselves for taking as long as we took. So it's another lesson in trusting divine timing, in surrendering, in acknowledging and honoring our own journey as well as everybody else's. And the fact that everybody's journey is individual. We are all individual sparks of source consciousness. Nobody's journey is more important than one another's. Nobody's journey is more relevant. Nobody's journey is greater. There's no hierarchy here. We say this all the time on this channel because it's so important for people to understand. There is no hierarchy here. We are all essentially one cosmic consciousness experiencing itself on all different levels of being and not being, if there is such a thing as not being. Once again, we're not going to go down that rabbit hole. I want to feel into anything else that people need to know. On a more mundane level, we can experience a lot of changes. Eclipse season, it eclipses things in, it eclipses things out. This is changes, especially when it comes to love and romance. So this is breakups, this is makeups, this is reconciliations. This is uber energy of the past resurfacing. We are closing out massive cycles, soul contracts. If there's anything that has not been fully completed or released, it's coming back up for review. If there's anything we need to understand better, we're going to be getting a deeper understanding of that. Mercury retrograde is famous for people thinking about their exes, thinking about situations from the past. With Venus retrograde involved as well, like we said, we're doubling up on that energy. So if you're thinking of somebody, no, they're probably thinking of you. That's how energy works. When somebody focuses intensely on you, you pick up on that and you think about them as well. All right. So there's a lot of connections in the quantum. There's a lot of like clearing and healing and entanglement within the quantum realms is the way Spirit's putting it through right now. And so we're releasing some of that, or we're becoming aware of that where we need to become aware of it so that we can release it. If we haven't internalized the lessons, the wisdom to close out these cycles, taking responsibility, because that is the way that we close out karma and we close out cycles, is by taking responsibility. I know there's a lot of people who wish there was a different answer, particularly when it comes to energies where we feel as though we were victimized, where we feel as though we were done wrong, right? But at the end of the day, we have to take responsibility for our energy. That's the only way we're going to grow. That's the only way we're going to evolve. We all came here to learn different things. We all came here with a different energetic signature that is designed to attract certain experiences so that we can clear those, so that we can move through those. Whether you believe that you're here completing your own karma, or whether you believe that karma is cleared at the end of a lifetime and we come in and it's all sort of lumped together as another theory that I'm learning recently, which is very fascinating, that it's cleared and downloaded into the collective, and then we take on certain aspects of collective, some call it ancestral karma, to clear as we move through these lifetimes, whatever it is. Some people think it's both, or feel that it's both. I feel that it's both. We're not going to get into all of that right now, but just know and understand that if you found this video, you likely took on a lot of karma for the collective. Because you're that powerful, you're that much of a badass. And what that looks like is a whole lot of challenging circumstances, a whole lot of traumatic energies, a whole lot of situations where you could easily call yourself a victim. Or you could decide to be a victor, to rise up within your energy, within your sovereignty. Release all the stories, heal the trauma, and recognize that that is not you. That is simply a simulation. It's a storyline. It's an experience that you are having, but it's not who you are. That's the difference When we perceive ourselves as victims, we're essentially saying that we are powerless, that we're at our lives, our happiness is at the whim of somebody else or some other external force. Now, deciding not to be a victim doesn't mean that somebody didn't do something awful, right? That there wasn't something terrible that you went through. You can still honor that, while at the same time releasing it and letting it go. And I know this is easier said than done, and this video is not meant to delve too deeply into the ways and means that we go ahead healing and releasing trauma. We get into that more in other videos. And of course, there's lots of people who have a wealth of wisdom about that. I assist people one-on-one in working through some of those energies as well. So feel free to reach out to me. For the purposes of this video, we're simply going to say that we can choose to move beyond the limitations that we impose upon ourselves when we identify ourselves solely as a victim of circumstance. When we take ownership of our energy, of our experience. Doesn't mean, and when we forgive, but this doesn't mean that we forget in the sense of that we leave ourselves. Wait, so the way that Spirit wants me to, the last thing Spirit wants me to say about this, to put this in perspective, is when we remain attached or identifying with that struggle, with that trauma, we leave the space in our energetic field of resonance with that energy, which actually attracts more trauma in. When we decide to take ownership of that, we say, yes, I came here, I agreed to experience that. It was awful, but it was simply an experience. It's not who I am. I am much more powerful than that. I am choosing to let that go. I am choosing to forgive. I am choosing to allow myself to heal and to move forward from here. No longer holding on to that. No longer holding on to that identity. Focusing on the strength that I have gained. When we fully feel those energies in whatever safe space, whatever container we need in order to be able to do that, we shed those from our energetic system. We release the bonds of that karma. And there is no longer a resonance within us to that energy. So we no longer attract those experiences. So Spirit wants some people who are finding this, who are struggling with that concept, to look at it like that. And this victim energy, a lot of times we look at this and we think about somebody who's been physically harmed, who's been abused in a very extreme manner. But there's lots of different ways that we hold on to this victim consciousness. It doesn't have to be as overt as that. It can be more subtle. And the subtle ways are much more insidious. They're a little bit harder to nab down. We live within the victim consciousness when we look at ourselves as powerless, when we rail against anyone or anything that we blame for our current situation. This could be an ex-partner, this could be family, this could be the government, right? This could be, we talk about the archons and the dark aliens that have hijacked this dimension that we're taking this dimension back from on here as well, right? We can blame any of those things. When we're pointing the finger at anyone or anything else, we are giving away our power and we are living within victim consciousness. So it's about letting that go. It's letting go of the justified anger, right? The righteous anger. It's anytime we think that somebody or something owes us something, that is a victim mentality. And trust me, I know all about that sense of entitlement. That was one of my biggest shadows that I had to work through, and I'm still working through it in some ways. Now, on the flip side of that, I don't believe that anybody or anything owes me anything anymore, but at the same time, I do believe that I can, through shifting my vibration, my perception, my perspective, have absolutely anything that I want. And that is what we are all meant to experience. That is the gift. That is the blessing, the opportunity for all of us. If we embrace the journey that our soul undertook to get there, that our soul signed up for, and we embrace it in full knowingness and acceptance that we chose it, right? I chose it and I love it. Let that be your mantra moving through this energy. So yeah, expect things to change. I didn't expect to go on a diatribe about trauma and victimization and all of that. But we go where the energy takes us, right? So breakups, shakeups, people coming back in, opportunities coming back around, financial movement where there may have been stagnation. Retrogrades are typically a time of slowdown, but this I feel bringing things back around, bringing back old opportunities, old lessons. Now, if you look back to this time in 2017, that's the last time that Venus was retrograde in Aries and Pisces. So there may be some themes coming back up from then. There may even be some opportunities coming back up from back then. Or we're getting to a deeper level of completion around some of these themes. So who were you dealing with then? What was going on? Think of this in terms of relationships, connections, friendships, jobs, opportunities. What were you working on? What desires within your heart were beginning to unfurl? There's a deepening of that energy and a deepening of our commitment to ourselves in these areas of life. The final thought that Spirit wants to leave us with here is that eclipse season and these energies are not about trying to control, particularly with all of these Piscean energies at play here. It's about surrendering. It's about allowing. It's about stepping forward into the unknown. Those of you who follow tarot, the Fool is one of my cards for Aries. And I really love this energy. And of course, Pisces is the Moon card, which is the unknown. So it's having that courage to step forward into what is unfamiliar, into a version of yourself that is unfamiliar, into a timeline, a vision, a possibility for your life that is as yet unknown or unexplored. Be the fearless explorer as we move forward. Not just this year, but from this point on. Make that commitment to yourself. If you found this video, if you're still watching this video, then you've already made that commitment to yourself. So recommit to that. And allow this energy to show you what it needs to show you, to bring back around what it needs to bring back around so that it can be released or reintegrated, because some things actually we are calling back that are in alignment as we're moving forward. All right, we're releasing what's not in alignment and we're calling in what is. Both of these things are happening. The beginning of the month is more about the releasing. The second half of the month is more about the calling in. And then once we hit April and for sure May, that energy is really going to pick up like rapid fire. Allow this energy to do what it does. Don't try to control it. Don't try to control your experience, your circumstances, anything about your reality. This is the time to simply be in it. Become the eye of the storm. Focus on meditation. Focus on breathing, on grounding. Hydration, Spirit wants to bring that through. We always talk about hydration. But breathing, grounding, meditation, presence. That's how you become the eye of the storm. Where everything is shifting and changing around you, you're shifting and changing too, but you're okay with that. Because there's some type of core resonance that we're building right now. Identification with like our oversoul, the truth of who we are. You may not be able to put a name to it. You may not even know what I'm saying yet, but you will. You're being introduced to your true soul light. And that light will be your guide. And it's not an external light. It's an internal light. It's a radiance. It's a resonance. That is your tether as you move through these energies. And you know that everything that's shifting, everything that's changing, everything that's being removed is bringing you closer to that. Meditate with fire. Fire and water. Neptune's all about the water. We can expect a lot of crazy water energies, water works. There's a lot of clearing, a lot of purging on an emotional level. Also, just being aware of water and what it's doing. Natural disasters, all of that, as we're completing these Pisces energies, those can be things. Not trying to inspire fear, just saying that is possibility, right? So, but there's a clearing and a cleansing with that water and a purification with the fire. So when we have fire and water together, this is the ultimate energy of purification. You take those salt baths, drink that water, activate your water, set that intention to recrystallize it, to reactivate its conscious awareness, its original crystalline blueprint. Knowing that that is activating that crystalline blueprint within every cell of your body, which is all water. Right? We are water beings. And burn away what doesn't serve you with that fire. Become the fire. Become the alchemist. That's what 2025 is teaching many of us to do, how to become the alchemist. 2020 in the galactic calendar was the blue lunar storm year. That was the year that began this process of teaching us how to become the storm. If that's an affirmation that resonates with you, maybe try working with that. I am the storm. I am the fire. I am the light. I am. Working with any of those I am affirmations. I am God, I am sovereign, I am free. That's my favorite. All right. I think that's it for this transmission. I love you, honor you, respect you infinitely. Thank you for being here with me. If you haven't liked this video yet, please go ahead and do so. Drop a comment. Let me know if you're still watching this. You absolutely resonate. So I hope that you are part of the tribe. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do. If you want to work one-on-one with me, I offer one-on-one coaching, weekly, bi-weekly, different types of energy healings, entity removal, past life regression, tarot and astrology readings. It would be my honor and my privilege to serve you in any way that feels in alignment for you right now. And thank you for being here and lending your energy to this channel. You are so beautiful. You are so powerful, and you are so ready. Just ride the wave, my friends. I'll catch you in the next one.